It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you all at Oshkosh. This is truly one of the world's great aviation celebrations. I used to come here before I was the FAA Administrator. I've come here as the FAA Administrator, and I'll be back after I'm the FAA Administrator. It's a great opportunity. If you like airplanes, if it did fly, if it does fly, if it's going to fly, you're probably going to see it here. Last Friday, the FAA's authorization expired because Congress failed to pass a bill. And we had to, unfortunately, furlough nearly 4,000 FAA employees. These are employees that work in 35 states around the country. They do a lot of very important things. It was very difficult for me to have to engage in that, but we really had no choice. With thousands of our employees and colleagues not receiving a paycheck, we just didn't think it was appropriate for us to have our normal contingent here at AirVenture. We are completely supporting, and everybody should be very comfortable that we're completely supporting all the safety functions, all of the air traffic control issues, as we always do. But I do regret, I personally regret, that we're not able to take advantage of the tremendous outreach potential that we get here. This is the place that the FAA becomes personified to many of you. Well, I think we should start with, one of the facts that's out there is the only people that use leaded fuel anymore, unfortunately, is aviation. About 200,000 airplanes still require leaded fuels, and we are the only users of leaded fuels, which puts a little bit of a focus on us, and not a good focus. So we have worked very well. I think the coalition that we have working with you, AOPA and Gamma, a number of folks in the business, we have gotten some acceptance from the EPA. They're giving us a little running room, if you would. We also have a track where fuels are now moving through the STC process very quickly. The goal would be to have ultimately drop-in fuel, meaning no matter where, you could put the fuel in the same trucks, the same tanks, it would go through the carburetors, fuel injectors, however you're going to deliver it, it would work. But that has proven to be a far more complicated process. It's not just as simple to say, well, we've come up with some new things. As it turns out, some of the fuels, for example, if you add ethanol, it eats up seals, it does other things. It works fine in cars, it doesn't work so well in airplanes. So it's a complicated process. The good news is, I think we've got some time. Secondly, we're all working together very cooperatively. And third, I think that the EPA is being patient with us. It's not a huge amount of leaded fuel being burned. So putting aside, some litigation that might pop up in a state, I think we're on track to come up with some pretty workable solutions in a proper time frame that no one will be, have an airplane grounded or something simply because they don't have fuel.
Avidyne is the brand of choice for pilots who want innovative, easy-to-use avionics. And the new IFD 540 GPS Navcom sets a new standard for simplicity in communication and LPV navigation. As a slide-in replacement for existing 530 series navigators, and with a highly intuitive touchscreen control, the IFD 540 makes it much easier to access the information you want when you want it, reducing head-down time and making flying more enjoyable. Finally, you have a choice, and the choice is easy: Avidyne.
People aren't aware, but every month we certify about 200 new things. These are, when I say things, these are electronic components that we're going to put in airplanes. These are maybe winglets. These are new graphite components that make the airplanes lighter and faster. All of them designed to be more efficient. Well, if the funding is cut back and we're not allowed to keep up with the expansion in this area, we simply won't be able to certify them as quickly. Well, that means that the factories, the small businesses that design these things are going to have to wait longer. I don't find this a good use of the taxpayer money for us to delay having these things come to market. If I delayed something that made an airplane safer 5 months, that makes no sense to me.
So can you just explain to us a little bit about what is this bar situation all about?
Well, let's go back to a point in time where the FAA was asked a FOIA request to find out who was asking to be blocked. As you're aware, you can go on any number of you can get an app for your iPad, a flight tracker, and you can put in an IN number and you can track where that airplane is. It's very simple. But a number of people have chosen, for reasons that they thought were good ones, to say, well, wait a minute, I don't necessarily want to be shown when I'm flying, and so you were allowed to make a request and we would block you. However, we defended that right, and we lost that in court. The court said you need to turn that information over. I think upon further review, the decision was made, look, it is a public system. There is transparency to it, and only if you had a legitimate reason that you would not want to be visible, everybody should be visible. It's a public system. Surprisingly, there's a fair amount of noise and probably more heat than light generated in the issue because there's not that many people that actually asked to be barred, but it certainly has lit up a lot of focus. So that's where it is right now. If you have a good reason, you can apply for it, and to my knowledge, anybody who's asked has been granted. So,
Do we have a deadline? Do we have a deadline for the application? There's something pretty imminent, right?
we had a request which we extended. There's some court litigation behind it, so I won't go too far, but I believe it's August 1st is the point in time where, August 2nd is the point in time where you're going to have requested and stated that you think you have a good reason. But as I said, it's precious few people actually ask not to be tracked. So again, a lot more heat than light coming out of this. Who has heard of the light squared issue, the GPS light squared? Wow, EAA does a good job of getting the word out, don't they? All right. Well, as you probably know, this company has come forward with the idea that they would offer broadband access across the nation. They would propose to do it from a satellite. And so their original proposals were a very low power but satellite-based signal. And based on that, it didn't appear to be any interference. They have since modified their approach and gone to a magnitude of like 1,500 times more powerful a signal in a bandwidth that we don't need to get real technical. But the bottom line is, when we began to do testing, and that testing was done by the FAA, Department of Defense, lots of other agencies, even down to the agricultural people, you know, when we apply fertilizers and things like that on crops, we often use, for very accurate applications, we use GPS to track where we're going to put the fertilizers and the pesticides and things like that. So what this testing is showing us that it does begin to interfere, these high-powered signals interfere with the accuracy of the GPS signal. And so we have asked a number of agencies and a number of users have asked that we slow down this process until we're able to do more testing, find out what alternatives are available to us, because this would put in jeopardy a lot of things that are already in place, and we want to make certain that we're not doing anything that jeopardizes the accuracy, the safety aspects, or the future efficiency of the GPS system. We have way too much invested in it. And the good news is everyone is talking about it. I think we're going to continue doing testing, and I'm optimistic we can find a livable solution that achieves, you know, what they're trying to do in the sense of increasing broadband access, but at the same time not jeopardizing the GPS system.
Welcome to the Aero-News Network, the aviation world's most comprehensive news and information resource. Real-time 24/7 online audio and video programming, where aviation has been getting updated for over a decade. Distributing over 11,000 stories, features, audio, and video programs every year. Only ANN covers aviation and aerospace with this much depth, insight, and expertise. Check us out on the web at aero-news.net.
Many of the things that were in that Bill of Rights, we do now, and you'd simply be codifying them. So, you know, we continue to work, you know, with all of the user groups to find better ways to get information to pilots. We try everything. You know, some people listen to Twitter, some people, you know, go to the website, some people like messages pushed, others go pull them. We're trying to, there are probably more apps for sale on this entire ground today than Apple ever dreamed they'd sell. So there's a lot of ways to get information into people's hands, and we're always exploring better ways. And if this passes and this is where we're going, we'll embrace it. This administration has not supported user fees. We were very clear in that. Having said that, you've got a lot of people considering a lot of things going forward. You know, they're trying not to raise taxes and so forth. But on the other hand, they're trying to solve a debt and deficit crisis. And so I think there's dialogue that puts a lot of things on the table that wouldn't have been there before. We think that the way the system is structured today provides the revenue. Could you make tweaks within, you know, how we take it? I mean, there's caps. Remember things like Freight waybills are taxed, passengers are taxed. We use passenger facility charges at airports. We collect taxes on kerosene, gasoline. All of these are out there. Could there be adjustments made in there? Remember, these weren't percentages. So when the tax, when the price of gasoline quadrupled, the tax didn't move. Same thing. We saw airline tickets go the other way around. So some adjustments within there certainly would be, I think, understood. Beyond that, that's going to be a congressional issue, and I would communicate directly either with your organizations here who will make their voices known, or as individuals. You've got a congressman, you've got senators. Let them know what you think.